right, thank you. How's it going, everybody? Just a quick question just to start out. Do people like slam poetry? I mean, me neither, but it's super important, and I'm just gonna kind of get into it. My name is Matt. I grew up right across the bay in Oakland, California. Thank you. And I went to this like super high-achieving private preppy school in the hills. You guys want to clap for that? I totally get it. It's like, it's okay. And in high school, like from the outside, I was kind of doing all right. I had a big group of friends. I had a girlfriend. I played sports, 4 years varsity, backup goalie. It's no big deal. But inside, I was actually kind of struggling quite a bit. Like I said, it was this really intense, high-achieving academic school, and like not getting into an Ivy was like basically a total failure, and I wasn't getting good grades. I didn't feel smart enough. I was kind of getting a reputation as like a stoner party kid, just kind of bad kid, and thank you. It didn't feel good, and so also I was just like super emotional, which made me the perfect type of person to get into slam poetry. My friends, this was the early 2000s, 03, anyone? And some of my friends were getting into it, and they took me to my first poetry slam in downtown Oakland, and I was kind of just blown away. I was seeing all these different kids from different schools, like, get on stage and read these amazing rhymes they had written and just express it in this really weird way, and I was just really feeling it. And I still remember one of the lines I heard from this other kid that first night. He was talking about not fitting into his high school, like some of the same things I was feeling. And he did this line. He was like, at school, I never raised my hand to ask permission to go to the bathroom. The only reason I raise my hand is to measure the distance between my fingertips and the stars. Damn, that was so deep. I was like, I knew I was gonna go home and start writing immediately. So I started writing my own poems, started performing. So I'm gonna read you the first poem I ever wrote. I'm gonna read it in the way that I would have, like back then, just so you're like prepared. And if you want, if you like hear something you like some snaps, can you hear like little snaps? Or if you hear like a really dope rhyme, you could be like, or something, yeah. All right, here we go. First poem. This is Untitled, 2002. Looking back in my past makes me smile and laugh and reminisce on shit like the rhymes we would spit. Oh, I forgot to say about this one, it was like written in this extended metaphor of space travel, so that's, yeah. But out here, it's dark and cold, not a soul on this station, as I review the captain's log to jog my memory of the situation. Back then, I had a crew, just like Michael had the Jacksons. This is before we knew what we knew. So, what the fuck happened? Why am I in total blackness? I guess I need to reassess the journey. High school at first was like the beaches of Normandy. Happy D-Day, everybody. Shit started to shift when asteroids hit my ship, so I threw on my spacesuit to go out and see what was wrong with it. But before I knew it, I was sucked through the door with nothing more to extend in this metaphor. And my connection enervated to the point where I was separated, like a door from the hinge, trying to grab onto stars, but just getting singed. I kind of stole that line from that other kid, but thank you. That's the first poem. So around this time, it's like junior year, I started smoking weed. For the first time under the Rockridge BART tracks. Out of a Hanson soda can. Yeah, all right. I think the aluminum is still in there somewhere. And so I was doing that, and I was kind of just, like that just made me feel like a badass even more, and kind of made me act out even more at school, and just feel like, I'm not part of this preppy environment. So that was happening, and I was also just like thinking about my identity like a lot. And this is like super embarrassing to say, but at the time, I thought that I might be the Messiah. Just like not Not like definitely, just like maybe. Like probably, maybe. So like my name is Matthew, my Hebrew name is Matisyahu. This is before reggae Matisyahu. And that means gift of God, and I just like kind of leaned into that. And I wrote this next poem. I thankfully never performed it in front of anyone until right now. It's the first reading of this poem. Thank you. This poem is unironically titled Gift of God. 2002. As the hymn goes, if the man sitting next to you is not the Messiah, do not worry. As if for salvation of this world, we were in no big hurry. But either my neighbor's program had a typo or my eyes were blurry, because all I saw was, he's right next to you, so do not worry. So that first part like takes place in temples, so you know the rest of it is going to be fire. From a young age, I aspired to be the Messiah and strive to be all-inclusive, conducive to connecting black and white, wrong from right, popular kids and pariahs. My soul sweet like a papaya. With vision, I pack provisions with precision to lift this world higher. 8 pounds and 12 ounces of pure hope for the future, only to be corrupted by the anger of youth that had me pissing on doorsteps and car handles. Visions of hope dismantled to a chubby boy passed out in a garage, vomit on his breath, love handles hanging out his belt, lights out like a candle. So I rarely believe in God because people die every night unless I want something bad, and I clasp my hands and I shut my eyes tight because I refuse to take part in all that fire and brimstone when I could kick it on the porch with my kin and get stoned. But it was written that my people descend from him, and I'm named from the fact that I was sent from him. So I'll make my peace in reading Socrates. I've never read Socrates, like not one word. And getting high while figuring out what the world needs. But you can find me convinced in whatever powers that be that I'm here for a reason, and all of you need me. So yeah, like I'm super sorry about that. Like I said, it was the weed smoking, it was the identity searching. I think it was Matisyahu's fault. There was just like, there was a lot going on there. So, but after that poem, I started to kind of like feel myself as a writer and was like, I need to share this more. And then 2 things happened that changed the course of my slam poetry career forever. So one, other kids at my private preppy high school were kind of getting into it, and we lobbied the administration to let them have us perform at a slam at an all-school assembly. And I was like, finally gonna get to share this talent with the whole school. And then something actually really terrible happened, still kind of hard to talk about, but like I was rejected from Oberlin. Just like being told no from this Midwestern, mid-tier university, it just like undid me, all those feelings of not measuring up, not being smart enough, not being accepted. It just overcame me. And I went home and I wrote like the most authentic, real, angry poem I had ever written. And I knew that was the one I was gonna read at the all-school assembly. So the day finally came, and everyone like filed in. There was like all the students, all my friends, all the teachers, faculty, the headmaster. This was like the type of place where we had a headmaster. And it was finally time, and this is the poem I read. Judgment, 2003. Anatomically, I'll be easy to see, and precisely I tip the scales at 183. Because we be the middle class, not first but not in last, coming in at a high figure but having trouble with the tax. But fuck what you see, that's just me, Matt B. I had a midlife crisis at the age of 17. This kid in my class thinks I'm just a jock because I barely pass, and I don't sit at home and watch Spock. He probably knows I drink beer and get in trouble with the cops, so that I'm sipping natty ice while he's identifying rocks. A joint or two is all I do, and perhaps sometimes a bowl, but they look at me shocked like I was smoking from a Bible scroll. Outstanding, amazing. These words barely graze me as I run like bullets from a gun to escape my mediocrity, surrounded by hypocrisy and people with more money and estates than Monopoly. As wealthy families tell me what I need to be, I see these universities don't look right for me, and I'm tired of all this bullshit pressure. So fuck this, undo the button of my Levi's and suck this. Thank you. So, like the crowd at the time was going kind of nuts, and people were like coming up to me after me, and like students were giving me high fives, and like they were really impressed, and I was like, I'm finally like getting accepted, and like I finally achieved something for like my writing, finally. I felt amazing, but later that day, the headmaster called me into his office. And I was just like fired up. I was just like, he can't handle this realness, like this. I was like, they're gonna expel me, like I don't care, and he like wasn't even mad, he was just like worried. He was like, are you okay? Like, you seem very angry. This is a safe space, and just like, I was just like, that's just me being real, that's just real. But then he said that some of the faculty had been like a little concerned, and like they had discussed removing me from the student council. And like any bad boy, stoner, slam poet would do, I started crying immediately. Just bawling in his office, begging him to let me keep my seat on the student council. Thankfully he did, but my bad boy image I've been like cultivating for 4 years was just totally out the window. So, I kept writing for like a few more years, but thankfully gave it up. And looking back, I'm pretty embarrassed by the whole thing, but also a little bit in awe of my younger self for just being willing to be so expressive and open. And so, we should support the young slam poets in our lives. Thank you, and before I leave, I just want to read the last few lines of that poem, Judgment. That's just me, Matt B., body and soul, might not ever make it to the honor roll. I never meant to be judged in this way. I'll never write again, because this is all I have to say. Thank you.
Before we get started, I just want to say I went to Oberlin. Undergrad, motherfucker. Someday, everyone will realize they'll see it with their own damn eyes that I might be who they've been waiting for. But I don't want to be that guy who tells you that I might be the Messiah. You've got to know that for yourself. And I think you will. I'm just a white man from over the hills, and I ain't taking no crazy pills. I think I might be the Messiah, but that's more of society's ills. Oh, but let's talk because I learned that maybe I could get down with some slam poetry. And it doesn't matter what color my skin might be, I still feel this sense of alienation in the world. Yes, I'm dealing with the self that I have to find my identity, and maybe that headmaster won't be such a mean bill when I try to express myself. And we get down on the student council, yeah. We're gonna have a poetry slam exposition. Yeah, I've got so much to think about. Ooh, I smoked some pot underneath the bridge at the Oakland Rockridge BART station underneath a Hanson's can. Oh, I learned so much my 90th row. I think that I finally know all the things I was supposed to become. Maybe I'll find my path when I go to Oberlin. But then, no, I got rejected, yo.
Rejected, yo.
I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Rejected, yo.
So I did what any young man would. Is 16 and is trying to use poetry as a therapeutic means. I wrote about my anger. About my anger. I was so angry, but maybe I was less angry when I finished writing poems. No, that's not true. I was still really angry. Yeah. But unfortunately for me, I wasn't kicked out of school. My badass image that I had been cultivating. At least the headmaster didn't tell the student body that I needed a hanky. And someday I will be who I'm supposed to be. And who knows who that is? I think I do. I'm gonna go back to understanding that actually I, through this rejection, might actually be the Messiah.